Alright, you saw the title of this video and the answer is yes. I was able to test QingYi out in an early access version of the game, and after doing some testing and comparing QingYi against the other stun units available, in my opinion, she is the whole package that no other stunner can top. Can she do damage herself? Yes. Can she stun the enemy quickly? Of course she can. Can she buff the whole team's damage? Yes. Is she fun to play? Absolutely yes. But first, let's go over what exactly QingYi does and how she works. First is her basic attack chain. It consists of 4 attacks, but the third one is very special. Here's why. This is attack number 1, there's 2, and this is attack number 3. This is still attack number 3, by the way. You can do this third attack indefinitely, and I mean indefinitely. You can dodge while you are doing this attack, and then after the dodge it carries on from where you left off. It does not reset your attack chain. Now you'll notice that during this third attack also the numbers are blue, meaning that you are doing electric damage with this attack, and whenever you are doing electric damage it builds up the gauge in the top left hand corner, and once you have enough you can then hold down the attack button to do a charged attack. This gives her some anti-interruption, and during the final strike she is also invincible. And more importantly, this applies subjugation, which we will get into a bit later. As for her skill though, the EX version is a quick little flurry of attacks that also inflicts a lot of stun, very similar to Anby's, and if you hold down the EX skill button it uses up a little bit more gauge than usual, but it does inflict slightly more stun damage. You'll notice when we use the regular EX skill and we tap it, it does 17%. However, when we hold down the button it uses more than half, but it does a little bit extra, 6% more to be exact. But here's the nice thing though, after you use your EX skill, you can chain directly into your third combo attack. So what you can do is you can use your infinite basic attack, and then once you have enough charge, you can use your hold attack, go directly into your EX skill, and go right back into your infinite attack. And it is just an infinite loop essentially. It's amazing. Now, if you're like me, I think a lot of people only have Anby as their stunner, right? Because the only others are S ranks in the form of Lycaon and Koleda. And when playing as Anby, the biggest gripe that I have is with her mechanic of doing 3 hits and then using her skill, or 3 hits and then holding the button down. Because with Anby, unless you're getting that powerful charged attack off in that chain, her stun is not that great and not reliable. And the issue is that when enemies fight back and they attack you, you have to dodge eventually, right? And if you dodge, that breaks your combo and you have to go right back to attack 1 and 2 again to try and build up that chain. QingYi does not have to worry about this. She can just constantly use her infinite attack, dodge if she needs to, and then whenever she's ready, whenever you want to do it, you can do your charge attack or your eat skill at will. But those are just QingYi's on-field skills. Let's have a look at her passives. First off is her team bonus, which she activates whenever there is another member from her squad or any attacker. The benefit of this is of course an unconditional bonus to the days applied by her basic attacks, 20% to be exact, and also an increase to her damage. For every point above 120 impact, she gets a bit more attack. And being a stunner, this is very, very easy to go above 120. She actually has like 130 at base already, once you upgrade her core passive to rank D. Speaking of her core passive though, that is where she shines. So it's a big wall of text, but the TLDR is that whenever you attack with her, specifically the charged attacks, she applies a stack of subjugation up to 20 times. And once you do stun an enemy, for each stack of subjugation, the damage increase multiplier that they receive while they are stunned is increased. This is similar to Lycaon's, who has a 35% stun damage multiplier for his team passive. Initially, it's on the same level as Lycaon's. However, this can be upgraded at max rank, where it's core passive F, up to 3% per stack, which means that at 20 stacks, you can get a 60% damage bonus to a stunned enemy. Looking at this team bonus and core passive, it is quite literally outshining all of the other stunners. In fact, not even just outshining each of them individually, but it's almost combining them all into one package. Anby's team bonus is about energy generation whenever she does a dodge counter, but again, the issue with Anby is that you really don't want to be dodging because that ruins your attack chain, and her core passive is obviously more days, which QingYi does also have. Koleda also increases her days, which QingYi has, and also Koleda's team passive also increases damage by the team members, but specifically only chain attacks, which is not that great, and it's 35% as well, so you could just have them take 35% more damage and then just use a chain attack anyway. Lycaon as well, 35% as we mentioned of his stun damage multiplier. However, for Lycaon's core passive, I will admit that the ice defense shred is quite nice, but it is a bit more restrictive, right? It's very specific that it has to be an ice type attacker. And then of course he also has that days increase. So QingYi has the days increase. She has the damage multiplier. She also has a way to buff her own damage. And the biggest thing of all is that for her team bonus, this, it does not require an elemental unit, it requires any attack unit. And I mean, why would you not be using an attack unit with a stun, right? To take advantage of that big burst window that you have when an enemy is stunned. That is why I think QingYi is probably the most flexible out of all of the stunners. She is not heavily reliant on anybody else in the team, and she can provide so much to literally everyone. Everyone would enjoy that extra stun damage. I think though at launch the popular team will of course be Xuyan, QingYi, and Nicole, but I'm sure as more attackers come out down the line, they will also mesh really well with QingYi. But of course it's nice to compare everybody in terms of their passives and whatnot, but what about their actual stunning capabilities? For my testing, everyone will be at level 50 and fighting a Thanatos that is also at level 50. No one will have any vengeance or discs on them, so this is just raw stats as they are. No energy, starting off from 0 basically. All their core passives are at rank D, and the only caveat is Anby is at Cinema Mindscape 6 because she's an A rank, so I think it's only fair that we assume that you have more copies of her compared to an S rank. Now, it was interesting to see that QingYi actually doesn't stun that much faster. In fact, she's a bit slower in comparison to some of the other units. But again, this is against an enemy that is not attacking back. This changes a lot when you consider the fact that QingYi's main draw is that she can dodge and she has anti-interrupt throughout her attacks, so she can constantly be applying stun even when they are attacking back. Whereas for the other three, you will have to dodge at some point, which will mess up the chain. Now, I will go ahead and admit this is probably not the best way to test out all of these different characters, because of course their EX skills play a big difference, but take this as the bare minimum baseline. Of course, all of these can be improved with more energy regen. For example, Koleda, technically speaking, her signature regen wants her to be off-field, only coming in when she wants those big stuns, and Anby, technically speaking, wants to dodge counter to get some extra energy back as well. Now moving on though, QingYi also has a signature engine. Now normally I don't like rolling for weapons because I could use those rolls from new characters, but for those of you who are interested in getting her engine, boy oh boy does it suit her to a T. What does QingYi do by herself? She stuns and she improves the team's damage. What does her signature engine do? It helps her stun and it helps her boost her team's damage. Essentially, every attack that she does increases her impact by a percentage, and remember, that third basic attack, which is a flurry of attacks constantly, will build up that chain very quickly. And once you do have enough stacks, it also provides a damage boost to the entire team. So in comparison, here is a quick test of her stunning with her Wenjin now. And you'll see we stun before we even get enough energy for an EX skill. After this, I tried her out in the Dead End Butcher Notorious Hunt with the classic team of Xuyan and Nicole supporting her. This time, of course, with disc drives and engines equipped. For QingYi's disc set specifically, I chose the 4-set Shockstar disc over because, of course, more impact, more stuns, why not? But also, I gave her the 2-piece Electric Thunder Metal set. Naturally, she has an attack percent 4th slot, electric damage 5th slot, and an impact percent in her 6th slot. And boy does it make a difference once you see QingYi in action. I don't think I've ever stunned the Dead End Butcher or any of these enemies this fast. Once again, I think the biggest comparison will be against Anby because that is probably what most people have. But the fact that you can just unrelentlessly apply stun without having to worry about dodging attacks, well, you can dodge attacks, but you can just carry on attacking anyway. You don't have to worry about losing your chain. Means that QingYi can stun so quickly and so reliably. Now, when it comes into comparison against Koleda and Lycaon, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with those two, but the biggest advantage that QingYi has is her versatility. The fact that she can be slotted into any team whatsoever, as long as there is an attacker unit, is what is going to make her shine. So again though, as to whether or not you should pull her, I'm not your dad, so I can't tell you what to do, but I will say, if you're looking for a stun unit that can be flexible and splashed into any team composition, while being very easy to play and fun to play as well, who stuns enemies very quickly, you absolutely cannot go wrong with QingYi. Otherwise, those are my thoughts on QingYi after trying her out in the early access version of Zen Zone Zero. Hopefully you found this helpful, and let me know in the comments down below if you are planning on rolling for QingYi, or are you waiting for Jane Doe maybe? Or is there somebody else in the future that you're hoping for? Otherwise, until next time, bye bye.